Hey y'all, this is the 30th day, as in last day, of my 30-day water fast, and the results are rather remarkable. You hear me say that and you're undoubtedly thinking right now that you could never go that long without food. But by the time I'm done explaining to you what I researched and what I learned, I'm hoping I can alter your understanding of the word impossible. I'm also 64 years old, so don't use your age as an excuse. I think it was Will Smith who said that you don't build an entire wall all at once. Start out laying one brick as perfectly as you can, and then add another, then another, then another. Pretty soon you've built something rather formidable. These are my before photos, and I rest assured that I'd be embarrassed to show you these if my after photos weren't a significant improvement. More on that later. A funny aside though, I was getting dressed for bed one night a few months ago, and when I took my shirt off, my 5-year-old granddaughter said, "Gee, Pa, you got a lot of fur." Her only reference of fuzzy was her stuffed animals. How great is childhood innocence. Anyway, here's also a screenshot of my beginning weight on the morning of day 1, which got blown away by the day 30 weigh-in. I left my socks on because, believe me, you don't want to see my feet. Later on, I'll show you the calendar with my day-to-day totals so you can see that some days were better than others. I'd be willing to bet cold hard cash that everybody watching this video has taken multiple rides on the diet roller coaster in their lives. You tried the latest fad, it worked at first, and then you gave up and the weight came back. Yes? I especially vividly remember one summer years back when it seemed like all of my friends jumped on the South Beach diet bandwagon and bragged about losing 5 pounds in just the first week. Let's just suffice it to say that I don't know anybody who's still on that plan. Almost every popular diet will work while you're practicing it faithfully. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Diets don't work because most people don't stick to them. Remember, weight loss is it's simply not compatible with unlimited Cheetos and Hershey bars. Counting calories is exhausting and notoriously unreliable due to badly estimated portions. The good news is that most people are able to lose weight. The bad news is that most people are not able to keep that weight off. Yo-yo dieting is all too familiar to us, and that's why statistics tell us that the average male in the U.S. has been on 5 or more diets in their lifetime, and females on 7. And based on my own observations, I'd say those estimates are low. It seems like we're always in a constant war with our knives and forks, but most of the worst things we seem to eat seem to be shovel food. We use our hands because utensils aren't fast enough. Now, I did not go into this undertaking cold turkey. I experimented with intermittent fasting for a couple of months to prepare my system for the shock. It's gotten pretty popular as of late. For those that are unfamiliar, intermittent fasting refers to going a set amount of hours each day not eating and then eating during the rest of the time. Probably the most popular intervals are 16 hours of fasting and then 8 hours of eating. That's not as difficult as it first seems, because if you normally have a snack at 9 p.m. before bed, you just have to hold off your first meal the next day until 1 o'clock. If you wake up at 7 a.m., you've already fasted for 10 hours. It's not that hard to train yourself to wait another 6 before eating. I myself used a 20 plus 4 cycle. My first meal was at 5 p.m. and my last snack was at 9 p.m. This plan was successful and got me down to about 205 pounds. My weight seemed to stabilize there within a couple of pounds each way for a couple of months of regular eating when I decided to try something new. I began to wonder what would happen if I got down to my dream weight and then just ate regular to give my body a chance to learn to defend that new weight. In essence, give it a brand new set point. Okay, so let's go into the nuts and bolts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the ugly. If you have already or are going to do added research on this subject, you're going to listen to horror stories about people pooping their pants on this fast. My personal experience was that although you should definitely not trust your farts in public, I just overcame that issue by utilizing the nearest latrine when I felt that urge. It wasn't a big deal for me, but it's something you have to remain cognizant of. Number two, during the first few days of the fast, you're likely to lose an exciting amount of weight, which is a feature of many diets. As an example, I lost 16.8 pounds in the first 5 days. That sounds inspiring until one realizes that normal humans carry between 5 to 20 pounds of feces around with them all the time. So that initial loss is obviously not fat. Average people eat between 5 and 8 pounds of food and drink each day. I've seen people on YouTube that do 3-day fasts and then crow about losing 5 pounds. That's not fat. That's mostly poop. And does anyone believe that these are photos of the same woman 10 days apart, no matter what she did? One other sobering thought is that when you end your fast, your colon will refill and at least 5 pounds, probably more, will come back to you post-haste. Now let's move into the bad. Number one, America, heck the world, would love to have their doctor hand them a prescription bottle and tell them to go home, continue to stuff whatever they want in their mouth, take these magic new pills and you will lose weight. We'll all be dead someday and our descendants will still be looking for that pill. Number two, no matter how long you stay on a treadmill, you cannot out-exercise your mouth. Weight loss happens in the kitchen, not in the weight room. You can burn 500 calories in an hour working out, but you negate that entire amount when you stop on the way home from work for your 500 to 600 calorie Frappuccino from Starbucks, which, by the way, isn't a coffee, it's a milkshake. While exercise is healthy in many ways and results in added calorie burn in the hours afterwards as well, you will not control your weight unless you control your mouth. Number three, a water fast of this type is no picnic. A pun you would definitely not appreciate it if you watched this during your fast. People will warn you about depression, lethargy, dangerous farts, weakness, headaches, lightheadedness, overcoming hunger pangs, cramps, etc. I'm not a depression kind of guy, but I dabbled in most of the other drawbacks, although I never experienced the headaches. Just remember that our bodies were designed to fatten up during times of abundance in order to sustain us during lean times. The problem began in earnest after World War II when food production exploded, and yes, much of it processed, and a short drive to the grocery store yielded just about any food your growing belly desired. And continually stocked store shelves ensured that lean times and famines existed only in history books and other countries. Cavemen didn't have supermarkets. Number four, I don't know if this is singular to me because none of the people I research mention it, but I get colder easier now. I used to work with a heavy guy who wore shorts to work, even in these Midwestern winters. So I know that skinnier people don't have as much natural insulation as heavier ones. So maybe it's as simple as that. And finally, the good. Number one, this fast is hard, but you can do it. You can do it. Marathons were once a contest that only the most elite athletes in the world were capable of competing in, until someone came up with a training plan that within mere months could take a casual runner from 3 miles to 26.2. Granted, that transition is decidedly difficult, and many runners did not think they were capable. But it's been estimated that 78 million people worldwide have run a marathon. In 1970, 127 people ran the New York City Marathon. In 2019, over 53,000 people finished it. Only a fraction of people would ever attempt an eating plan like this. But when they look back, they'll be amazed at the result. Number 2, you've either been trying to lose unhealthy weight for most of your adult life, or you've never been able to dump that last stubborn 15 to 20 pounds. This will enable you a good jump start on the higher amount, or it will take off those last pounds to give you a new baseline. I've been able to hold the 205 level I got to after intermittent fasting pretty easily, and it got me to wondering if I could hold the new lower weight if I reached it. This fast got me to that weight quickly. Look at it this way, folks. Bite the bullet, but don't eat it for 1 month. Your goal is within reach, or as my dad used to say, everything you want in life exists right outside your comfort zone. Number 3, trust me on this. Whatever food you use to break your fast will knock your socks off. Your taste buds have been sleeping for a month, and they will explode with gratitude when you wake them back up. Number 4, we've all seen stories about people who lost a lot of weight, and I'm always fascinated by how much their faces changed, not just their bodies. I took a before and after of mine out of curiosity, and well, I don't think the change would fool Mark Zuckerberg's facial recognition matrix. There definitely is a difference. Number 5, you save a lot of money on food. Okay, so now let's go through my personal journey in this. I know I'm going to lose a lot of you that don't believe in themselves, but I'm hoping I can convince at least some of you to do this. I'm not a nutritionist or medical professional, so you should check with your physician for his or her advice. There are undoubtedly people who should not do this. That's what doctors are for. But as my dad also used to tell me, when you want to go somewhere, it's usually worthwhile to listen to the experience of the guy who built a boat while he was in the water. Who will teach you more about the building and running of a business? The university professor who has spent his life in the classroom, or the entrepreneur making a payroll every week? If I did this, you can do this. Most people face their earliest weak moments on about day 2 or 3, but days 5 and 6 tried to be my Waterloo. The feces issue, lightheadedness, feeling weak and lethargic, and my stomach was screaming at me. Perhaps because I had experimented with shorter fasts in the past, none of these concerned me a great deal. Your body goes into full ketosis, which is burning fat for energy, when it finally realizes that you're serious and aren't going to cave and go to McDonald's. Naturally, your body fights tooth and nail to run like you've always taught it to run, but it is far more adaptable than you think it is. If you're like me, then you have 15 or 20 pounds of onboard fuel, fat, just waiting to be utilized if you stick out these first few days. And after that, be aware that ketosis actually acts as a hunger suppressant. It will help teach your body that feeling hungry is okay. Getting up slowly from a sitting or lying position is pretty imperative, and that single move will pretty much effectively battle the lightheadedness. As I said before, for 2 days I was wary of my public flatulence, but that problem passed for the rest of the fast. That leaves us with our stomach, insisting that what we're doing isn't fair. Certainly for the first few days, the call is relentless and hard to ignore. Our bodies actually find fat a more efficient fuel than most of the stuff we usually eat. That's why our bodies are evolutionarily hardwired to store it. Once you go into ketosis, your body has plenty of evolutionary fuel, and your stomach begins to stop sending out those urgent mayday calls to your brain. But unfortunately, that is when the brain starts inventing emergencies of its own. From the day you could eat solid food, it was ingrained into you that good times equal food. You've never been to a celebration or remembrance that didn't involve eating, have you? Weddings, funerals, birthdays, retirements, sporting events, reunions, family Sundays, you name it. Heck, most of us even overeat when we're alone. The fallout from all that programming is that our brains wants what it wants, and it is frustratingly persistent. I've heard a lot of experts over the years say that losing weight is not a matter of self-control. Bull hockey. There is something scientists call neuroplasticity, which refers to the brain's ability to change or modify its function, but it doesn't necessarily want to. It takes a lot of coaxing. Believe me, even on day 30, your brain will still be trying to talk to you about cheating, although you will have asserted more mastery over your thoughts by then. For the above referenced reason, being with friends while they're eating will be the most taxing times. Some will be offended if you don't feast with them. Some will pressure you. Some will even act like you took a dump in the middle of the table. Remember that their non-support might very well stem from their own frustration at not being able to summon the willpower to drop those pounds they've always fought a losing battle with. Supplement your own strength with the reinforcement of the few friends that you have that can celebrate your success as if it's their own. Bottom line, though, is that I'm telling you not to expect a lot of external support. It's pretty much all going to be about you. You have to find the motivation inside. One way to do that is to understand that people of all civilizations have fasted since human history began. For spiritual or health reasons, you are walking a well-trodden path. Another critical inspiration comes from weighing yourself at the same time every day in the same apparel. The scale doesn't lie to you, and watching that number continue to go down every day is magic. Interesting aside, your body actually does most of its fat burning at night while you sleep. I am fully aware of the fact that this is a water diet, but I made one alteration of my own to tailor it to me that does not comply with conventional wisdom. I allowed myself calorie-free beverages instead. A lot of experts will tell you that you can't do that, but it worked out fine for me and it kept me going. The same litany of experts say that you should drink 1 ounce of water each day for every 2 pounds of your body weight. If you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of liquid. I, however, drank this exact same 52 ounces each day and never got dehydrated. Before the fast, I took gummy vitamins and extra vitamin C in the morning and gummy melatonin to help with sleep at night. Combined, and showing how easy it is for calories to sneak into your life, these contain 60 extra calories. And I didn't want to take in any calories at all, so I switched to tablet versions that were calorie-free. As I mentioned at the beginning, my day-to-day weight loss fluctuated slightly. Since my routine was nearly exactly the same each day, I'm not sure what accounted for that, except for the obvious acceleration through about day 5 when my body was purging stored waste. Important to notice is that I did not have one single day of backtracking, and believe me, that is a big deal in the motivation factor. So my beginning weigh-in was 208.6 pounds, and my day 30 final was 169.8. for a total loss of 39.8. In the coming days of my break in the fast, I expect to gain back 5, 10, maybe 15 pounds as my colon refills. So I guess you could say that my actual final results will be about a, 25, 30 pound loss. I haven't weighed 170 pounds since college, maybe high school. This lady is holding 10 pounds of fat. I couldn't find an internet photo of 30 pounds, but just imagine the extra baggage I was lugging around with me a month ago. So, here's a side-by-side of the physical transformation that my body underwent. I shaved my chest so that I wouldn't look like a stuffed animal the next time I saw my granddaughter. I haven't looked this healthy since I got out of college and got my air traffic controller job, began a sedentary lifestyle, and had money to afford too much food. I don't want to mislead you for a moment and make you believe that this was easy, but it only took a month to get to the weight my body should be at, a weight I've never in my adult life been able to achieve. As a bonus, I do not fall asleep anymore at 9 p.m. while watching TV, and I sleep through the night now. Not a lot of you watching this will be able to muster the willpower. But folks, if you have that last 15 or 20 pounds you've never been able to lose, 1 month from now you could be where you want to be. I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but at least I can tuck my shirts in now. As I wrap this up, it's important to note that fat cells do not go away, except maybe by liposuction. The best we can do is shrink them, and that's what I spent the last month doing. Just keep in mind that they are still always lurking out there in that shrunken state, praying for the opportunity to expand again if you let them. That's why people regain weight after a successful diet. I'm now at the critical junction of my weight loss. Call it the diet after the diet. Obviously, a water-only diet is not sustainable forever. I've taken a dramatic step to achieve a healthy weight, but returning to a disciplined eating pattern to hold that weight will tell the tale. If I let up and take my foot off the gas, I'll just join the others in the legion of wannabes. It's estimated that 90% of people who lose a significant amount of fat regain it back within a year. Again, to use Will Smith's metaphor, I'm going to take it one brick at a time. So step 2 of my makeover begins now. Over the next few months, I'm going to try to inch my current level of fat a little lower and concentrate on building muscle. Although fasting does burn some muscle along with the fat, it's not as much as we all been taught to believe. The body is smarter than that. It puts fat on us for a purpose. I purposely avoided weightlifting and vigorous exercise during the fast. A 64-year-old guy like me has lost a lot of muscle over the years, and conventional wisdom says that's just normal. Let us not forget that conventional wisdom also says that we have to deal with increasing body mass as we get older too. And over the last month, I proved that doesn't have to be so. And so, tonight at 5 p.m., I break the fast. Put a comment down below if you decide to try this. Watch the video a few times during your fast for inspiration to help you stay the course. If you hit like and subscribe, you'll be notified when I post my follow-up video, and you can check out if my weight loss holds up. See you then.